Italian food fanatics. Today we're going to make a Neapolitan pasta called spaghetti allo Scammaro. It is cucina povera, or the poor person's kitchen. So we're using very few ingredients with maximum flavor. We'll be using some spaghetti. You'll see the ingredients in just a second. But they're very, very bare bones. Things that you would have in your pantry. Olives, capers, breadcrumbs, raisins, pine nuts, things like that. In fact, a little bit of basil, and that's it. It's very Neapolitan. It's an old style pasta that comes from the days when that region of Italy was extremely poor. It's still very, very poor, and unemployment is rampant. It's at 30% or something like that. Don't quote me in Naples, but that's a very special city. Go there to get robbed. Essentially, but you're going to eat well, and it's a very interesting city as well. Anyway, let's not waste any more time. Oh, before I forget, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the bell button, share with your friends, and leave a comment down below. Now let's get into the kitchen and make this old-time, ancient, antica pasta dish from Naples and the Campania region. It's an authentic one. Come on, let's go. All right, let's get started. First, we need some spaghetti, and then we're going to need some breadcrumbs. We'll use some olives. Now, you can use green olives as well. I happen to have some of these Kalamata olives that I like. We're going to use some raisins. We're going to use pine nuts. We're going to use some capers. We're going to use a couple of cloves of garlic. And of course, a little bit of basil. Now, what we need to do is we need to wash the basil. I'm going to quarter up these olives, and we're going to kind of reconstitute these raisins, and then peel and just smash the garlic. We're not going to chop it up. It's going to be put in the oil and then removed later. However, before we do any of this stuff, what we do is put water on to boil for our pasta, because this is a very fast dish. We'll be back. All right, before we go about fabricating anything, we're going to put 4 cups of water on to boil in a sauce pot. By the time this comes to a boil, we'll have quartered our olives, smashed the garlic, reconstituted the raisins, and we'll be ready to make our condimenti, or our sauce, that's going to go with the pasta. It's going to take less than 10 minutes. So let's get going. All right, the water has not even come to a boil yet, but we have our olives quartered. We put a little bit of water inside of the raisins, smashed the garlic, and washed our basil. I also want to mention that I'm using bottom of the line spaghetti. It is Italian though. It's the bottom of the line Barilla. And that's because this is cucina povera, the poor person's kitchen. So I wanted to keep everything as you would normally do it by using a lower end spaghetti. And not that I, obviously that I can use whatever I want, but want to keep it real. And I'm not even going to toast the breadcrumbs. We're going to leave them like this. Normally I would toast them, but again, we're just going to do things as if you were in Naples and this is all you had. You pulled all these things out of the refrigerator or the pantry, and you have these things on hand all the time over there because they're very inexpensive. So let's go back, put some salt in the water, and start in our sauce. All right, here we are. Our water's to a boil. I'm going to put in only 1 teaspoon of salt, regular table salt, and that's because we have capers and olives, and that's going to be salt enough. Plus, we're going to use this water to finish the pasta, so we don't want a lot of salt in the water. We've already have a lot in the pan. So now let's go to putting our spaghetti in. And making our sauce. This spaghetti will take about 10 minutes to cook, and our sauce will take about 5 minutes to make. So as soon as the water boils, within 10 minutes you can be eating. All right, our water and pasta is on. We're now going to start to make this sauce. A little bit of olive oil in there. We don't want too much, just enough. That's about right. And we'll put in our garlic cloves. This one broke in half. And we are going to slowly bring these up to temperature and brown them. We're not going to burn them. We're just going to wait until they're about golden brown, and then we'll remove them because they will have flavored the oil. It's about as Neapolitan or as an Italian. It is about as Italian as it gets. We'll be back. All right, as you can see, our garlic has got a little bit of golden brown to it. So we're going to remove this, and we're just going to wait. We're going to, we have about 3 or 4 more minutes before our pasta is ready. And what I'll do is I'm going to put in the capers next, but we'll come back in a second. So what I've done is I've put the capers in the oil, and I've heated them up, fried them a little bit. You want to fry them on a low flame so they don't blow up and spit everywhere. And now we wait for our macaroni, our pasta, to be done, because everything else just needs to be warmed up. It doesn't need to be cooked or heated. It just needs to be heated through, basically. So we'll be back. All right, we're about a minute away from our pasta being done. I've turned the heat back on underneath the capers. We're going to add in the rest of our ingredients except for our basil and our breadcrumbs. The pine nuts. I actually like to use more than the average guy's pine nuts because I love pine nuts so much. Let me squeeze out these raisins. They go in. And that's basically it. Our pasta is done. We're going to heat these through. You could use green olives if you want as well. I think I mentioned that earlier. But now, let's bring this in. Bring our pasta in here. And we're going to use a little bit of that pasta water to finish cooking the macaroni. Finish cooking our spaghetti here. Just a little bit. We don't want too much, although you don't have to worry because the breadcrumbs will eventually end up binding the pasta all together. And you can already see a little bit of that temporary emulsion, or if you want to call it the creaminess of the pasta, of the water and the oil mixing. So that's pretty much it. Our pasta is almost done. Now we're going to add in some breadcrumbs. Not too much. Just enough to coat. Remember, this is the poor kitchen, so this is all they had. There's no cheese in this particular dish. All right, so that's that. I'm going to add a little bit more breadcrumbs. Sorry about the camera. And there you go. Turn the heat off, and let's dish up our pasta. Hello, my Italian food fanatics. Well, you saw me dish it up. Now it's time to taste the spaghetti allo Scammaro. Now, I got to be honest. I put more condimenti or more of the sauce than you would normally find because I kind of like this dish. I've added more basil than you will find, and typically the basil is going to be mixed in with the pasta itself rather than put on top. But I did that obviously for the picture. But let's taste this thing. Wow. Now, that's good. That's really good. There are other things that you can add too. You can add anchovies. You could add hot peppers in there. However, I suggest you don't do that. The reason why is because those things kind of hide the flavors of the other accoutrement, the other ingredients in this dish. And the only reason I know that is because I've had it that way as well. And it's not as good. It's heavy. This is light. It's nice. It's a great afternoon dish. All right. It's vegan, essentially. So long as the pasta doesn't use eggs, it's theoretically vegan. Now, and it also, by the time the water boils, your prep is done. By the time the pasta cooks, in fact, long before the pasta cooks, the dish is already made. Because all you need to do is fry up the capers. And I don't like very hot olives. I don't like olives heated. I like the darker olives as opposed to the green, although you can use the green. And I love the flavor of pine nuts and raisins. I often just eat pine nuts and raisins by themselves together. They taste so good together. So you have sweet, you have savory, you have salty, you have the pasta perfectly cooked, you have the herbaceousness of the basil in this dish, and of course the breadcrumbs bring it all together. Now, you can toast the breadcrumbs. In this case, I did not, because I'm keeping it real, essentially. I'm keeping it more like cucina povera, although you could, theoretically, just as well, you could toast the breadcrumbs. This dish, really, it just comes together. There's no cooking. If you make it, make sure that your folks are seated at the table, and then you bring the pasta. The pasta does not wait for the people. The people wait for the pasta. And because this is served more or less warm, it's not good hot. Okay, I'll tell you that. And it's not good cold, obviously. It's getting cold. I'm going to eat more. So it's best warm, as is a lot of Italian food. A lot of Italian food tastes crummy if it's too hot. The flavors are just not there. You can't really taste anything. And if you add, for example, anchovy or hot peppers, which you could do, that'd be Neapolitan as well, it muddles the flavors that you have in here. It loses something. So, oh, by the way, before I forget, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the bell button, bing, so that you'll know when I release our next video. Share with your friends, and leave a comment down below if you have a moment to do so. I know you have a moment. If you've already been watching this, you have a moment. Leave me a comment. I respond to all of my comments. Anyway, so no matter where you are in the world, I want to thank you very, very much. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching my channel, my videos. I really appreciate it. I'll see you again very, very soon, okay? Thank you.